welcome to the Richard Graves Group. If you haven't had a chance to, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please go over to Twitter, look up Graves Group, and follow us on Twitter so we can keep you updated on some of the new projects and the new events that we'll be having going towards the end of the year and at the beginning of next year. That being said, thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. We're just going to talk a little bit about current affairs and a few things that have been going on. I haven't had a chance to really talk about regular things. So I'm trying not to make it too deep, but sometimes, it goes there. One of the topics we're going to be talking about today is the new Disney film, the live adaptation of The Little Mermaid, which will star an African-American female in the role of Ariel, who is the Little Mermaid. There's been some backlash. Some people have been upset about the fact that an African-American has been casted for this role. We've heard this before, particularly when on like some of the television shows, like when Batwoman was changed to an African-American female, or even as simple as Isis or Iris on The Flash, who plays the Flash's girlfriend and wife, who was cast as the African-American. And, it happens from time to time. People get upset about these things. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. But the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at the trailer so we know what we are talking about. Okay, well, first thing I'm going to say is obviously that young lady has a wonderful voice. And since it's a musical, I think that's a little bit more important than the skin color of someone playing a mythical creature. Now, I don't want to seem insensitive to fans of the Disney genre. However, and I can even go with the argument there's some Disney stories that would necessitate a white person playing a part. Like the Snow White, for example. They redid Snow White. Obviously, part of the whole theme of the story is how white her skin is. So generally speaking, we'd be talking about someone, European person, a white person. So that'd be one thing. Or if we did Black Panther, obviously people would take some exception, even though Black Panther is a fictional character of a white person playing Black Panther, seeing as him being from Africa, a prince from Africa, a king from Africa later, is something that's necessary as a plot device. Now, talking about a mermaid, I just don't even get how it's ridiculous to me that we're in that we haven't passed that point in society. I know that when Barack Obama got elected, we thought we came to this post-racial world. Obviously we haven't. And I'll be the first to say, while anti-Black racism has not been nowhere near as bad as it was, obviously during Jim Crow, or even, definitely during slavery, but during Jim Crow or prior to the Civil Rights Movement, we made a lot of advances. I would be the first to admit that. Are there some problems that need to be dealt with now? Yes, but that's a different show. We'll talk about that later. But in regard to the topic of this young lady playing a mermaid, people stop being ridiculous. It is any white person or Black person, anyone who feels that this character being made Black somehow diminishes the story. The most important thing, she could sing, so she could sing the part. Um, as far as anything else, it's a mermaid, people. They don't exist. Or if you believe they exist, they've existed in, these stories are in all cultures, from Norway to the tip of South Africa to Asia to the Native Americans or Amerindians. These stories have been part of water spirits, basically, have been part of human society and human culture ever since the first people decided to start sailing. So let's get past that. But I want to speak to the African Americans, particularly. When you see her singing at the end that she wants to be part of this world, it does speak to it. And I don't think it was meant to be an analogy or a metaphor, but it does seem as though that young black girls and black women, being locked out of the whole princess thing, or looking to be part of that world with this story. And let me say this: you're right. We should have that representation. But I just have Oprah, Spike Lee, Tyler Perry, all the black animators that know how to draw, and the stories we could pick from and choose from and tell. We should have been telling these stories for ourselves, for our children, making these films. 20 years ago, we should have been making these type of films for our children. And, I'm not a producer of film. So for those of you who are, somebody make some homegrown ones for our children. You may not make the billions of dollars that Disney makes, but, Netflix or HBO, or even release it in film yourself. There's black studios out there. Again, I mentioned Tyler Perry, Oprah, and Spike Lee. I'm sure there are more. So we need to start making our own stories. It's not a problem being included and being part of the Disney universe or being part of the greater culture. But, we need to start doing for ourselves when it comes to that, if that is what we're looking for. But that being said, I don't see why there's a problem with a young African American girl playing a mythical character. She seems very talented, and I think she'll do a good job. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Hey, any questions, rebuttals, replies, Richard Graves at live.com. So I'm going to move on to the other things, since we're talking about young girls and women and self-image. This is one thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to bring this particular screen up, and we're going to talk about this for a minute. Now, this is Nia Long and her fiance. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but a Nigerian guy who played professional basketball, and is now a coach, I believe. And apparently he cheated on Nia Long. And of course, the only reason I found out because people were putting up posts and Facebook posts and Twitter posts about how Nia Long was cheated on. How could such a thing happen? I thought we already went through this when Halle Berry got cheated on by Eric Benet. Ladies, it doesn't matter how beautiful or how pretty you are or how famous you are. If you're with the type of guy that's going to cheat, he's going to cheat. Same with guys. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're with the type of lady that's going to cheat, they're going to cheat. But more to the point, let's get to the part that I want to talk about. And I talked about it briefly on Facebook, and some people agreed, some people disagreed. Nia Long has been engaged to this guy since 2015. I think they were together since they were 2010. I believe they have a child together. And I'm not trying to judge anyone how you live your life, blah, blah, blah. If you want to be engaged for 30 years, that's your business. But I'm going to tell you this as a man, and I believe most men that you ask will say the same thing. If a man is engaged to you, and unless there's a real serious reason why you haven't gotten married in at least 1 or 2 years after that engagement, school obligations, something. But other than that, you at that point, ladies, let me tell you, if a man is engaged to you that long, you are not the woman that is his first choice. You are the woman that he's going to deal with and put up with for whatever reason. Maybe you have a kid by him, whatever, and he's actually looking for his choice. You are an option. Your option if there are no better choices come up. Now, I know that's what you guys are going to say. It's Nia Long. She's so beautiful, yada, yada. Yes, she is. And maybe if she had married a normal or a guy who wasn't, in that world of being in sports or entertainment, being rich and famous with access to other women on Nia Long's level, maybe we could say that. But even then, if you get a regular guy, he's a dog, he's still going to do it if that's who he is. But that being said, in most situations, again, if the man is with you that long and hasn't married you, you are an option. You are not his choice. And I say this, men, we are generally possessive, not in a crazy way where we're stalking you down. But, if we have a good woman, we're not trying to lose that nor trying to share that with someone else. So if you're a good woman and to that man, if he feels you are that person, he's going to try to lock it down sooner than later. So and that's just real talk, people. That's a little outside of my normal zone of talking about, relationships like that. But, that's kind of what it is on its face. So, it's sad. I don't like seeing anyone, having to deal with being cheated on. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe she knew ahead of time. I don't know. But I do know this, that ultimately, ladies, if a guy string you along, know when you're being strung along, and don't, I understand this is new world. Maybe she didn't want to get married. Well, if she didn't want to get married, they wouldn't have got engaged, and I doubt most ladies are going to try to put that off 7 years. It is what it is, to each his own. But he signified that she was an option, not his choice. So that means he's still looking. That's why he was cheating. That's how it go. All right. So I'm going to leave that one alone, people. All right. The last thing we're going to talk about in this little short, quick show is, and let me share this. Yes, I have a new book out for those of you who don't know. The book is The Question of Evil, available on Amazon.com. It's $9.99. One of my Facebook friends wants me to make an audio version. I am going to do an audio version. We're auditioning voice actors right now to do it. I got like 20 that are real good. So I'm going to narrow it down and pick the right voice actor in order to read the book. And for that one person on Facebook, my one friend who asked me to do it, I'm going to, of course, send it to him for free. But the rest of you folks, support a brother. Like I said, it's available on Amazon.com. And I'll be a little brief. I'll give you a little brief summary of what it's about. The Question of Evil is a theodicy. All right. And I address a historical philosophical question. The question being if God is all good, if God is all powerful, and if God is all knowing, why does evil exist? So I talk about the fact that, we know evil exists at face value. We see it. We deal with it every day. That being said, there are reasons, if you take a Christological worldview, a worldview of that of a Christian theist believer in Jesus Christ, there are reasons why evil exists. The primary predicate, the primary premise that is not talked about when you talk about the three big premises that we just brought up. The primary premise is that God gives us free will. And some atheists and some people who have a problem with God will argue that, God was wrong for giving us free will. But then the philosophy of that is ultimately, if we did not have free will, then we would not be humans. We would be robots. We would deprive that choice from us. And then, what's the point of existence? You're never going to, you're going to do exactly what the creator wants you to do. So there's really, no free will, no choices. Or some atheists argue that non-existence would have been better, which is also equally ridiculous on its face, because no one knows what non-existence is like compared to even the worst existence of a human being on earth. And we all talk about, suffering, children suffering, innocent children being killed, innocent people being killed. And those are all things that are worthy of discussion and talking about, given the context of why, the God we believe in, allows for evil to, continue until, in the Bible, obviously there's a time when there will be a judgment. But I won't go deep into that. I just wanted to put it out there, books out there, people. I'm going to start doing some online classes, Zoom meetings. We're going to talk about theology, and then also some where we talk about politics, history, and other things that I'm interested in. That being said, thank you all for joining me. Have a good day. Any questions, comments, rebuttals, replies, Richard Graves at live.com. And looking forward to talking to you all going forward. Now, I did finish the Theodicy. I am going to be finishing the political book. I know there's a few of you guys who supported me on that I am finishing over the next 6 weeks or so. It's a bit longer, and it took me a lot more time as the political landscape kept getting more and more ridiculous. I had to keep going revising, so I had to pick a point to stop and really, really dig into what I was trying to say. So I'm looking forward to getting that one out to you guys. Other than that, God bless, be safe, and see you guys next time.